The health system in Ontario is a rich and complex array of people, networks, and organizations. To ensure that the system meets the needs of its stakeholders, these components of the healthcare system require guidance and direction from the communities they serve. To do this, healthcare organizations appoint a board of directors with complementary skills and expertise. These volunteer boards are an integral part of a properly functioning healthcare system. Understanding how they contribute means understanding what healthcare governance is.
Well, healthcare governance is a lot easier to describe in theory than it is in practice. Governance is basically overseeing the hospital and the workings of the hospital.
It pertains to a number of things. It has to do with the mission, the vision of the hospital, the values of the hospital, and setting strategic goals for the hospital.
But part of it also is making sure that you've got the right framework of accountability and oversight in place so that the board is fulfilling its responsibility to the public in order to make sure that management's on track to deliver really great quality health care for patients in the community.
Our responsibility is oversight, it is foresight, and it is insight.
If you picture a ship going to, say, Hawaii or something like that, you are really the overseer of that boat. You're not actually steering the boat, but you're directing the captain.
In setting strategic direction, healthcare boards provide a voice for their community.
Well, the community basically owns the hospital. By community, I mean including the ministry and all the stakeholders in the hospital. So someone's got to represent them, and it's basically the board.
The public are really not aware of the decisions that are made by a hospital board, but they want to be sure that the services are there when they want them. And with a well-structured and a well-educated board of directors, you can provide those services.
Healthcare itself is complex, there's no question about that. You really need to be in a position to respond to your community and be able to engage the partners in the community.
You always want to have a group of individuals that are separate and apart from management, but I think you're also wanting to make sure that the organization has a good, strong connection to the community that is also independent of management. And I think the combination of those two things makes sure that we're getting it right and providing great health care for the people in our community.
One of the main reasons to have the board members is that area of expertise that you may not have, especially in small organizations. The depth that we have here in our organizations is narrow. We do not have a significant amount of expertise. Here, for me, we have 12 experts sitting around the boardroom table that we can go and ask their opinion on to help us make better decisions.
When you bring all of these different perspectives together, you get an even greater perspective.
But if you didn't have a board who is made up of diverse people with diverse skills, you wouldn't have that diversity of thought. You wouldn't have that different view of how healthcare should be rolled out into the community. So I think a board is fundamentally important.
The purpose of a healthcare board is unique, with a focus unlike any other kind of governance structure.
Large public companies, there's huge expectations on them from the shareholders. But I think there's huge expectations on the board of a hospital from a much broader range of stakeholders.
It's not about profit, it's about people's lives. So that makes you realize how important the role is.
We oversee patients, we have stakeholders, we oversee the hospital's operations that have a direct impact on patients, and patients are complex.
So it's a very, very important responsibility and one you can't take lightly. It's not like any other board that you would be a member of. And that way it's challenging, but it's very stimulating and you learn a whole lot at every meeting.
It's important to understand the difference between governance and the management of a healthcare organization.
Our board of directors are well known to our community. They are involved in stakeholder engagements. They're visible throughout the building, but at the same time they know the difference between governance and operations.
We're not here every day. That is not our role, that is not our responsibility. We do not manage the hospital, we oversee the hospital. So as a board, we set the strategic priorities in partnership with the CEO and management. Then as an organization, as a board, we monitor those performance standards, those indicators that we put forward, those expectations we put forward.
What I find the board does is that they respectfully challenge me to making sure that we are making progress with respect to our vision. They will challenge me specifically with respect to the goals that we establish.
A functioning, truly representative board is a benefit to the communities they serve.
The community benefits because we are meeting the needs of the community. we are acting in the best interest of the community.
A properly functioning board makes sure that the healthcare is delivered in the proper fashion, in a safe fashion, patient-focused, and with quality, and close to home.
So when we work together, when we collaborate, when we ask for input from our communities, that is when we can provide the best care and the best value for our community and for our patients.